fellow gamers and non-gamers alike. I'm Ronan, the creator and owner of this YouTube channel, and I am here to build a PC. My first ever PC that I've built. Now you may be saying, Ronan, you're so spoiled. You're only 13. Well, you didn't know that yet, but I'm 13. And you have this crazy expensive PC build. I know, but I've been saving up for about 5 years to get this. Ever since I was a little kid, I put most of my money that I got into a little box under my bed and saved it for years. I did still spend some of that, but most of it went towards something that I didn't even know it was going to be. But now, I've turned it into PC parts. This is going to be a very nice white build, and a few other things. There might be some yelling in the background. That is my overweight 15-year-old brother. He's very annoying and won't stop screaming while playing Fortnite. Yes, he's that type of kid. Anyway, just think of it as part of the gamer attitude. I know that it's not great, but we all have to live in this house, and so that's what it's gonna be. Also, I know a lot of these parts are from NZXT, which you may know are supposedly scammers. If you actually know all the details, it's about their PC rental service. Who rents out a PC anyway? Basically, it's just a really bad deal, and that's kind of it. It's kind of like a sleazy rental car service deal. They're not scammers, they're just giving you a bad deal. And everybody had a lot of backlash about it, but you see, I'm not even talking about their pre-builts at all. I'm talking about their PC parts, which look really good in my opinion. So yeah, now that we've gotten this out of the way, without further ado, we're going to talk about each of the parts individually.
So first is the CPU, which is a Ryzen 9 9900X. I got this instead of the 7800X 3D because at the time, its price spiked. Meanwhile, the price of the 9900X was already on sale. It has more cores anyway, and is kind of a hidden gem. While it does not have a 3D V-cache, the more cores make up for that, and they're about equal in games. Next is the storage, and I got a Team Group Gen 4 2TB SSD for $110, which is a really good deal, and I found it on Zach's TextTurf. If you don't know him, go check him out. But basically, 2 terabytes is a lot of storage, and $110 is a pretty good deal for it. Up next is the motherboard, and this is what holds all of the components together. So without it, they would just be a bunch of components sitting there. And so while it doesn't have any computing power itself, it's still pretty useful. And here I got an NZXT B650E motherboard, which is all white for $200, which I thought was a pretty good deal because most of the other ones are more expensive for full white, since everything's just more expensive, which really sucks. But anyway, this is a good deal, and so I'm pretty happy with it. Once you've taken the motherboard out, you want to look for the accessories. You'll find the manual, antennas, cables, and some screws that are also used to hold the SSD in place. Next, you want to take the motherboard out of the anti-static bag that it came in and place it on top of the box that it was just taken out of. I really like this motherboard because the whole entire thing is covered in white metal, which looks really nice and a lot better than exposed board. It's time to install some parts. So first off, we're starting with the CPU, and you want to align up that little corner in the top left to the corner on the top left of the actual chip. So then you want to take the cover off by pushing down the lever and pulling it up, and then pulling up the flap to reveal the open pins. Next up is the RAM, and I got 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, which is 6,000 megatransfers a second, which is fast, good, I guess. And I snagged these for $100, which is pretty nice, and they're white with RGB, so I like that. So to install the RAM, you gotta push down those little levers and then push the RAM into place until it clicks. Not just until the lever goes in, but you need to hear a click, and this took quite a bit of pressure for me, and I was scared I might break it or something, but you just gotta push down really hard until you get that. So now it's time to install the SSD. So first we're gonna unscrew and remove the heatsink covering up the spot for it. And then we'll take out the SSD and try to put it into the little port where the pins are, and push in until you hear a nice little click. Cool. Now you're going to want to find one of those bags that you found in the motherboard box and take the screw out. This is what holds down the SSD. Some don't have screws and have little latches, but this one does. So then you're going to want to screw it in and make sure it's tight. After that, we'll take the heatsink and peel off the little protective plastic to unveil the thermal pad, which keeps the SSD cool. Then we'll reinstall the heatsink and make sure it's screwed in nice and tight. Okay, so now we're on to the cooler, which is an NZXT Kraken Elite 360. It's an AIO, and it's 360 millimeters long, which can hold 3 fans. I got this for $230, which was an okay price, and this model has now been updated, but I like the older one. I think it's cool because it has a whole screen on it, and it's all white, of course, and you can display things like GIFs or temperatures on the screen, which makes it look really cool. Now, the AIO did come with 3 fans, but I didn't like them. You see, they didn't match the rest of the fans that came with my case, and all of the other ones that I was planning to put them in. So I decided to replace them with these fans, which have the RGB on the outside instead of in the middle of the fan. I think they look cleaner, and I just want an overall build that looks all the same, because it's not a cheap build. I want it to look like what I want it to look like, so I decided to spend extra money for it because I could. Now it's time to put the standoffs in place, so we're gonna plop them each down in the correct spot. Nice! Now we're gonna put the screws in each of the holes. Okay, now we're gonna install the pump onto the CPU. You see, that little circle of gray is the thermal paste, and that is what covers the gap between the metal of the CPU and the metal of the pump. This way, it can absorb more of the heat more efficiently. So I realized that it would make more sense to install the motherboard into the case before I installed the cooler onto the motherboard. So I moved the case up onto the desk. Speaking of the case, it's an NZXT H9 Elite, and it's dual chambered, which, if you don't know what that means, it's got 2 chambers, the front and the back, and unlike normal cases, it doesn't have like a basement, which is typically where you would fit things like the power supply and cables, so it's on the other side. It makes cable management a lot easier, and it's a fish tank case, so it's got glass on both the side and the front instead of fans there. I think it's really good, and it comes with 4 fans, 3 of which are RGB. Alright, so to install the motherboard, if it's an ATX motherboard, which is the typical standard size, it should fit right in with the standoffs, which are the screws, because it's an ATX case. So it should fit perfectly, and if you have a different size motherboard for the case, then you might have to adjust them. But I managed to get this in fine because it's an ATX motherboard in an ATX case. Okay, so now I'm gonna prep the AIO. So I need to install all 3 of the fans before I can install it into the rest of the build. So I started by screwing in the first fan, and we're gonna skip through most of this because it's pretty boring, and so I'll see you in a minute. Alright, so now I'm gonna put the pump on top of the CPU. This is how it keeps the CPU cool, and then I'm gonna put the radiator, which is where it cools off the water, into the correct area and install that. So this is, again, pretty boring, and so I'll speed it up for you. Okay, now it's time to do the wiring. Right here, I'm wiring up the 3 fans from the AIO to the motherboard. And I'll show you the more important parts, but I was also trying to figure this out, and it took me a second. So we'll just entirely skip past that, and I'll explain more in a minute. So I started off by setting up the ANSXT hub by connecting it with a USB header, and then placing down the actual hub and connecting the 3 wires into that. Okay, it's time for the power supply, and this is what turns one power cable into all of the things that you need to power the PC. And I got a Corsair RM750. I snagged this for about $80 on a Black Friday deal, which isn't bad, and 750 watts is kind of not enough for the build I have, but after some research, it's on the line, but it should work. And so I'm pretty happy with this. And yes, I chose white just to finish off the entire white build. And so we're not going to need that. So get that out of there. It's time to take it out of the wrapper. Okay, so when you're installing your power supply, it's a good idea to make sure that it's facing the right way. And what I mean by that is you want the vent to be facing outward, like so. And I got kind of mixed up here and actually then put it the wrong way, which is funny because I was trying to teach you to do it the right way. But where the vent is where you want it to reach the outside of the case, because that's where the fan is, and so you want it to intake fresh air. Don't worry though, I did fix this later. Alright, so here I'm connecting the SATA cables together, and I low-key forgot what these were for. I'm sorry, it's been so long since I actually built it. I'm also singing a little bit. I must have gone crazy. So we're just going to speed right past this because I don't want you guys to hear it. It's real bad, so yeah. Alright, now it's time for the cable extensions. I snagged these nice white Asia Horse cable extensions for like $20 on Amazon, and I think they're pretty tough. It just basically extends the cable, which I don't really need, but it means that in the front of the build where I'll actually be looking at, the wires will look nicer, which is the whole point. And they're not that expensive, so it's honestly worth it. Alright, so this next part took a little bit of time, so I did time lapse, and I'll give you some nice music to jam to.
Hey guys, so as you probably know, I'm almost done with the PC build, and I've only got a few things left to do, but basically we've been doing a lot of cable management, which I suck at, and it's not going to be nearly as managed as I'd like it to be, but that's just how it is. We've been using these Asia Horse cable extensions, and one of the things I noticed is that even though this case, which is an NZXT case, has here, this cable right here, yeah, it's nowhere to be found on the motherboard, which is weird because this is also an NZXT motherboard. So I'm hoping that it's not actually necessary and we can get around it. Otherwise, I guess I'll have to buy a connector. So yeah, not gonna be nearly as cable managed as I'd like it to be, but that's just how it goes. And the other thing is we're gonna add 3 more fans on the bottom here, and connect those up real quick. It won't really add to the cables very much. Should be super easy, and then we'll get to installing the graphics card, which is the main big thing, and then we'll try to turn it on and see what happens. We have Windows on an SSD, but it's not a flash drive. It's like a literal big, like, here. It's literally this whole thing, which is 2 terabytes, but we have like a 5 gigabyte file of Windows on this, and so hopefully it should work like a USB drive. And so that's basically what's going on. Almost done. It's not looking as good as I wanted it to in the back, but the front's looking nice. And so let's just get to it.
Alright, so now I'm going to install some more fans. Pause. So before we talk about that, I want to talk about how fans are configured in a PC case. And so this is kind of how they should be configured in every PC case, but it changes a little bit. So here's my case, and as you can see, you'll want cold air moving from bottom to top because hot air rises, and from right to left. So the blue areas here show the cool air, and they'll go from the bottom at first, and then they'll go up top and into my radiator, which is the AIO, and then out through the top, and that way the dust gets blown out. And from the side, it intakes cool air through there, and that gets pushed through the GPU and all the other components, and then pushed out the other side. This is how you want to set it up, and this is why I'm going to be talking about certain types of fans, and it's important which way they face, because if they're all intaking, then that's not great, and if they're all exhaling, that's even worse, because if you have more negative fans than positive, you'll have a case that is have negative air pressure, and so that will then suck in dust from and unfiltered air from all of the cracks and crevices. So equal air pressure is best, but also slightly positive is good too, because that way it blows out air from all of the little crevices, keeping dust out. Okay, thank you for sticking with me, and remember, we're about to unpause and get back to fans. Okay, so these fans are NZXT, of course, and they are 3 fans with RGB on both sides. And they're normal, which means they're not reverse blade fans, because NZXT just doesn't make those, even though I wish they did. And they're $70, which is not great, but it was worth it. I've been wondering there what I meant about normal versus reverse blade fans. And so you see, the normal fans operate like a normal fan. They blow air from one direction to another. Reverse blade just does that in reverse. And you might be wondering, you're so stupid, bruh. Why don't you just fucking flip the fan to the other way? Boom, reverse blade fan. But, you see, you're not paying for that. You're paying for the face to be still visible. Because, you see, the face is the good part, which looks better than the other one. So, you could just flip it, but it's not going to look as good. Sadly, NZXT doesn't sell reverse blade fans, so it just had to get RGB on both sides, so it still looked good. Although not as good as if they made reverse blade fans, which I'm still pretty mad about. Anyway, it's time to move on to the graphics card, the most important and expensive part of the build. So here we got a nice GeForce RTX 5070, that's all white, and 3 fans. I snagged this for $660 at Best Buy, and even though that's $110 over MSRP, this was during April, and so the GPU crisis was still pretty big back then. Even though we're posting this way later, that's on me, but you gotta remember, at the time, these were really hard to come by. So because this is the non-TI version, it only has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. They say it's GDDR7, so I guess it's faster. And honestly, in games, I haven't had too much trouble with it. Although, I think they really should have put 16 gigs in there, and it is quite frustrating. Hey guys, so here I was trying to insert the graphics card, and it wasn't easy. In fact, this is one of the things that they make look easy, but it really wasn't. But, so I was just struggling here for a while until I finally figured it out. So, that's what it was, and Yeah, we'll just skip past this. Also, I did find out where to put that blue cable thing. It was just on the side. And so I got that connected. Don't worry.
Hey guys, so basically I think I'm done with the PC, and I'm sure something's gonna go wrong, and I don't even know if it's gonna boot, but we have it connected up. We got our Windows drive right here, and we've got the monitor down here. It's not a very good setup. We don't even have the keyboard or anything. This is just to see if it boots. So let's see. Also, the only NVIDIA 12 pin I have is this one that came with the graphics card. It looks terrible, and you know, I'll get a better one later. I'm also not sure if this is even the newest display port. I hope it is, but if it's not, I'll try to get a new one as well. But basically, we're just gonna turn on the monitor, which is right down here. That's gonna boot, and we're gonna see if maybe, just maybe, oh my god. Wait. Well, it's on, but...
Oh no!
Ooh. Hello. Welcome back. So something they may have noticed is that it's a little bit darker outside. That is what happens when you spend way too much time overthinking something. So, here, I'm gonna turn it on right now, but I don't think it's gonna post. I've reseated the RAM and the CPU. Yes, I took it out of the socket and put it back in. I did have to uninstall the pump of the AIO to do so. Now, it's here, I'll even reset the monitor. I flashed the BIOS, which was something I needed to do anyway. But you'll notice these lights are still on. Those lights right there. Those mean something, and one of them is CPU. Something that I had learned from one of the videos, or a YouTube video earlier, was that this little thing right here wasn't necessary, and it was extra power. Now I'm thinking maybe it wasn't extra power, and that is necessary for this PC to actually run. So I have decided to do the... So now I'm just gonna attach another wire there. Another thing I learned is that this NVIDIA thing, if I want to get a white one that looks good, it's gonna be like $19-20. Like $19 to $20. That's a lot of money for a wire. Am I still gonna do it? Yeah, dude, I spent like an extra $100 on fans so that they all looked the same. Of course I'm gonna do it. That's a no-brainer. It's just annoying. So I'm just gonna plug that little thing in right there, and it's gonna be fine. It's just stupid, but it's always stupid. It's always something stupid. Anyway, we'll plug that in real quick and see what happens.
So these lights stayed on, these two error lights here, for like a while. They never turned off. So I tried my best to do everything I could, but they just wouldn't shut off. And so it was really frustrating, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and the PC just would not post.
Hey guys, so it's later today, and we figured out that the problem, sadly, is the motherboard. I knew this was a possibility actually when I built this thing, but for the price, which it's technically on sale, but it's almost always at around the $200 mark. It's really the best deal. It has Wi-Fi. So I don't need to add a Wi-Fi card or anything. And it's got a lot of nice features on it, and it's the exact same color as the rest of the whole thing because it's made by the same company. But this board does have issues with newer gen CPUs, and it can have problems with that. So the board is way past its return window of 30 days because we got in November on a Black Friday deal. And it's just cooked, dude. It's so stupid because I put a lot of effort into this. I put basically a year of planning into this, and I've put 5 years of money saving into this. And just it feels like everything that I've ever tried to do, no matter how hard you try, something always goes wrong, and it's always something that you can't fix that easily. And honestly, if you're gonna try and go for something big that feels untouchable, it's because it is. And there's always gonna be something in the way. I'm not giving up because I've already bought all the fucking parts. I'm gonna see if we can get this replaced for the warranty, but that seems really tricky because most companies hate valuing anything that they actually said they would. So I don't even know if we'll be able to do that, which really sucks because the board looks really nice, and I don't really want to change it for a different one because it'll look worse and also be more expensive. But it's kind of what I have to do, and so I'm gonna have to take everything out of it. You have to take out the whole board, and it might not run for a week, it might not run for a month, it might never run.
Hold on, let's get a nice picture from a camera roll. No. Oh, fuck, no. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so, basically, here, I was, trying to get a bunch of motherboards, and so, first off, NZXT was just being a bitch. They would not do anything to replace it under warranty. So, that was bad. So, I decided to get, this motherboard from Amazon, and I thought, this is a great deal. Until then, I realized later that it was a used one. Never buy used motherboards, bro. And so, the pins were bent on it. Here we have a few pictures of that. And then we bought this type of motherboard, which is actually brand new. And it was really nice. But the first one, it was just all really broken. It was not in good shape. And then the second one, it just had another thing that was broken. So we actually had to get those returned as well. And then on the fourth motherboard, we finally got one that was in perfect shape, brand new, which is what we should have been getting. Shut the fuck up, bro. This is what we should have gotten because we bought it brand new. But Actually, yeah, no, yeah. So we went through the NZXT one, 2 gigabyte ones, and then the 3rd gigabyte one actually worked. So, yeah. So one of my favorite features here is on this motherboard is this little latch idea where instead of having to press down the latch and really squeeze your fingers in there, because it's really hard when the graphics card is connected and everything's in the actual PC, you can just press that little button over there, and it makes it super easy to just easily unlatch it and take the graphics card out. And I know this because with the old NZXT motherboard, when I tried taking the graphics card out, I actually broke that latch. So I can tell from experience that it's actually a really nice feature. So now I'm just rebuilding the entire PC basically because I had to get a new motherboard. And so I'm just going to quickly go through this because you already saw me build it once. So now I'm just building it again. Hold on. So here's something that's real interesting is thermal paste patterns. So before, when I built the first time, the cooler had thermal paste pre-applied, but because I had to take it off, I got some thermal paste. And so I decided to go with just the dot method, and I put way too much. But if you're applying thermal paste, put more than less because, like, it's not conductive, so it won't damage your PC at all if you put too much, but if you put too little, that's when it could deal with thermal throttling. Now, there are a lot of patterns out there, or you could just spread it out with a spatula, but because this is a square CPU and not a rectangle, I think the dot pattern was worth it, although the X pattern is also pretty cool. Okay, so basically, the computer still wouldn't post after that, so I got kind of tired of filming and I just kind of stopped. But instead of like explaining this with words, because I'm pretty tired of that, I'm just gonna show you basically what happened.
Huh? Oh no!
Alright, cool. So then we just wrote a nice long complaint email to Corsair saying, hey, we need to get this covered under warranty, and so we just sent in the old one, and soon enough, they gave us a new one.
Yeah!
We got a package. This came from Corsair. So now we finally have a hopefully working power supply. So I'm just gonna get this out of here. They could have just given me a real box, but gave me this instead, which is fine. Fine, I guess. So, yeah. Ooh, another power supply. Zip ties. That's important.
And more cables, yay. So, also, packet of candy. See it? Another RN 750. Let's see. Silent operation at low to moderate loads. Cool. I never really read this shit, so I guess it'll actually be quiet when not using a whole lot of power. That's nice. You'll love to see it. So yeah, we have our large rectangle. And actually something I noticed when I was looking through the window things was that with a little bit of light, I could actually see like a broken or like somewhat broken capacitor. So I'm just quickly look for that in a moment. But we got all the basics again. The actual huge thick black cable. And then the rest of these I'll also unscrew and everything. But yeah, now we just have to install the new PSU and hopefully actually get it booting and get it to post. I mean, that's the goal. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hold on a minute. I need to connect a keyboard. Hold on just a moment. Okay. She posts. She fucking posts, yo. Okay. I'm way too excited. Oh my god, it's showing vibes. Hey guys, what's up? We finally got it working. So, let's go. The whole room's a mess, really. Oh, Ollie. Okay, bro. Okay. Yeah, please don't do that. I love you. He's a little bit of a freak, but we love him. Everything's working. It's great. The drivers are all installed. It can use Wi-Fi now. I don't have to use Ethernet, which I know it's faster and everything, but I don't want to have to deal with another wire because the router is like over here. The PC is going to be over there. Actually, it is over there, but it's gonna basically we're just gonna clean up the whole room. No more laundry on the floor. No more monitors and keyboards on the floor. Everything's gonna look great. And we're all, but first we just gotta get all the panels back on this and clean it up a little bit and get some satisfying peels in. So that's soon to be coming. So yeah, that's it. Everything's working good, and then I can install Steam and get some games going. So yeah, all right, yeah, everything's good. Something I did notice is like you can't fully see it here. It's kind of hard to see, but behind this, it's saying 29. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but I know that in the BIOS it would always be saying like 10, like anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees higher than what it was saying here. And I don't know, but maybe NZXT programmed it to go a little bit lower than it actually was, so it looks like it's cooling better, but in reality it's not.
I really hope that's not the case, and maybe it was just wrong. I don't really care. It's still close enough. I mean, not really, but whatever. It still looks cool. And so yeah. Now that everything's working, all the drivers are installed, everything's updated, and we did activate Windows. I got Windows Pro. I was gonna go for just Windows Home, but Windows Pro just became like it was just like $2 more. And I was like, so, I'm just gonna get it. It's really not that, worth it to go for Home, because, then there's Pro, it's just a little bit more. Why not just go for Pro? So yeah. We're just gonna clean everything up. It's gonna look great. This room can stop looking like a mess. Yeah. So, got my old iPhone mini here, 12 mini. And actually, I don't know why, but I feel like maybe I'll just get an iPhone 5C, one of those cute little colorful ones, just for fun. So that'll be a different video, but yeah, that's all. Okay guys, so the room's cleaned up. It's nice and tidy now. And the desk is cleaned up. We got all the essentials, noise canceling headphones to cancel out this really loud PC. It's got so many fans. Oh my god. So got everything working, got all the necessities, so all of those. Have a speaker. This is nice to have with a PC. So yeah, that's about it. It runs. I haven't tested out a whole lot, but I tried out City Skylines 2. That went really well. It was really nice, really smooth, looked really good. I'm gonna test out more stuff for you, but I'm not gonna go into a whole lot of detail there. But basically, it's running Windows 11 Pro. I managed to get all the RGB looking good. It looks a little weird on camera, but in real life, it all looks the same. So, in the RAM light is a little bit dimmer, but it's all the same color. So, yeah, that's it. Nothing else to really say. So, yeah.
Alright, so on to benchmarking, we tested 2 games here, Cyberpunk and City Skylines 2. Now with Cyberpunk, they have an actual benchmarking test here, and with default settings on a 4K monitor, it was averaging about 220 frames per second, and its minimum, I guess 1% lows or whatever, was still above 200 frames, which is crazy. And then when I tested it again with everything cranked up, it was far lower, but still really good. I mean, like, this monitor only goes to 60 frames. Anyway, I know. But here we now have City Skylines 2, and this is just my own world that I've been working on for 200 plus hours. And it did not fare nearly as well here, because it's a lot more intensive game. And I managed to get some good Steam overlays here. Yeah, I couldn't record anything like screen record because I just couldn't really figure it out because I didn't really care that much. But yeah, so I mean, there you go. Just a little bit of benchmarking. Yeah, cool. Thank you for watching. Um, thank you for watching me build this whole video. Um, it's a very long one. It's a very tedious one, and if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. This took me way longer than expected. I originally built the PC in I think March, and I finished it in late April and 2025, and now it's taken me the whole spring, the whole summer, and now it's August 27th here. And it's the end of summer. In fact, I had my first day of school today, and so I just couldn't really find the motivation to do it for a while, and so it's finally built. I've been actually using this PC for a while. It's awesome. I love it. And no, I've not changed the wallpaper because I don't really give a shit. I think actually it looks cool with the OG blue Windows one. And so that's just kind of it. There's going to be a lot of gaming videos, maybe some other interesting videos that I have an idea of maybe doing in a little while. But this was a huge project, and this was like my first time ever using Final Cut Pro. And so thank you for watching. Drop a thumbs up if you want to somehow see me make another video. Click subscribe and hit that bell, because otherwise you're never gonna know, because I don't make them very often. So that way I can give you a notification when I make a video, which will be a rare occurrence here. But also another thing, when I was building this, there was still the GPU shortage. Now that's gone, but it was there originally. So when I was building it, that was a big concern. Luckily, I live near a micro center, but yeah, a lot of things have changed, but thanks for watching, and goodbye.